And I appreciate. I only had one pro fight, just full disclosure. But and I'm retired. But like, I feel like my biggest lessons in life come from fighting.
All right. Pay attention. We're gonna teach you something real special today. This is two coins with my boy Wally, then Ronnie, wherever you're at, we're at. Showing two sides of the same coin. Let me know what y'all think. Two coins. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter today.
And welcome back to the Two Coin Podcast. It's your boy Ronnie.
And I'm Waleed, the other side of the coin. Today's episode is brought to you by Brotherhood. No.
Fuck it, Brotherhood it
Hey,
is.
we're not shouting out brands that we're not getting paid by anymore.
That
We're just gonna shout out a different theme as sponsorship for when we start until we actually get somewhere.
Nah, for real. Like literally, they got a bunch of free advertisements.
Yeah.
Last year, the year before, we're not doing that no more.
No more samples. No
At
samples.
all,
Can't afford to get hit with like a random lawsuit.
man. So this episode, we got a very special guest. You know what I mean? A friend of mine for a long time.
Hell yeah.
We got
Howdy.
the one and only Don. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's going on, man? Don Bailey. Kind of like a weird, interesting traveler that's wound up here in San Jose years ago. Everybody kind of held me together. And now we're here, man. We're just progressing and trying to do a couple things business-wise and just connect and trying to spread love wherever I go.
Easy.
Peace. Welcome, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you
nah,
for having me,
sure.
as always. I appreciate this, guys.
Hell yeah, bro.
Nah, hell yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, go ahead and move that just a little bit up to you. Yeah.
Once you're on the podcast once, the door's always open. After
Nah,
that.
that part.
Well, I'll be the guy on the couch then.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, so going off of what you just said, you know what I mean? You're just a traveler, been around different places.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Don's origin story, like where did it all start at?
Oh, man. I was born in New York. Grew up in New York in Queens and Flushing, small town. Between like Casina and Jamaica, you know, everybody shouts out Jamaica, Queens and stuff like that. That was down the hill. So went to school. We decided that it was getting a little rough. It was the 80s, so
Yeah.
80s is real. And you know, we moved out of New York, moved down to Virginia. We set up down there in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area.
Okay.
A lot quieter, more suburban.
Salute to the Clips, Pusha T.
Shout out, you know, obviously we know him. You know, that's
I don't want to
underground.
cut you off. I don't want to cut off your story. So, but like, I just want to tell the people the first time I met this dude, I was at SP2 where they both work. We were just kicking it, chopping it up. And Ronnie gets me an introduction, and he's like, "Hey, you know, he actually grew up in the same neighborhood as Pusha T." And me being a big Pusha T Clips fan, knowing they're from Virginia Beach, I'm like, "Dude, bro, how are they like growing up?" That shit, but nah, it's just
Man.
sidebar.
I still feel bad about that. That's all Ronnie's fault.
I dead ass believed y'all.
Literally, I remember I ran over to Don. I'm like, "Hey, bro, this is my boy. He a huge fan. Just tell him that you grew up with Pusha T in the Clips."
Fucking asshole.
The funny part of the story is that like the reason why Ronnie had me do that is because before he probably doesn't remember this, but like when I went to high school in this place called Chesapeake, and then when after high school, there's nothing going on in Chesapeake.
Yeah.
So the next biggest town is Virginia Beach, basically at the
Gotcha.
time, and there's other towns, Norfolk. Shout out Seven Cities. But so when I was living in Virginia Beach, I was working at Gold's Gym, and Terrence is Pusha T. I mean Malice, excuse me. So I'd see Malice all the time. So like it was ironic because he come in at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was a newer manager, so I would see him. So I actually did like run into him, and do so hella cool that he just be around town. So like I go to the bodega and he pull up at the bodega in his Porsche.
Yeah.
And like I'd see him at the grocery store by himself chilling. So but
That's
I never
dope.
met Terrence though.
Yeah.
So like I never met Terrence, and Terrence was closer in age than me, but like I ran into, you know, Malice way more
Yeah,
times.
Malice was the older brother in the Clips.
Yeah.
It would make sense that he'd be the nigga going to the gym at 6 a.m. and not Pusha T.
Yeah, in fact, especially back then, like
Yeah, yeah.
I like T was getting on some like I think that was like the big transition for him as far as like career wise. Like after that point, like he was playing around with it, and then I think he just hit a different gear, and then he just decided that like he's that dude, and he wanted to carry the torch. I think Malice was kind of fading because he wasn't sure if he wanted to stay,
Yeah.
you know, secular or not.
He got more into like his religious side, which makes sense, which phased him out of hip hop. He's like, I can't be talking about all
Yep.
the shit that I've been talking about. And then Pusha T's was like, shit, I can't.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Pusha T was like, "Well, I'll just absorb your talents and just be this dude for both of us."
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of interesting time. But yeah,
So around what time frame is this? Just to get a
so let's see. I grew up in New York. I left New York in '92, so that was when I moved to Virginia. Virginia was from '92 to 2008. I graduated. I went to a military academy up in Newport, Rhode Island. Went to the Coast Guard Academy. Went to Naval Academy Prep School before that. So it's 99 to 2000. Got kicked out. Hey, yo. In 2000. And came home back to Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area.
Okay.
Dad passed. We moved around a little bit, but mostly stayed around. Moved to D.C. Obama years, good years.
Okay.
I love those Obama years.
Yeah, salute to the DMV too. By the way, we got a lot of I don't know if you know, we got a lot of like watchers from the DMV area.
Oh, that's
Shout out
church,
to the
man.
So
DMV.
salute to my people in DMV.
DMV stand up. You know, I was there on 7th Street, right across the street from the Hooters. You know, RFD, represent, doesn't exist anymore, but City Center kind of killed all that street down. But I was there during the Obama years, so like 09 to 2013, back to Virginia Beach, and then after Virginia Beach, I decided to move out here. So then it kept it pushing. So like I came out here 2018-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so not pretty recently actually.
Yeah, relatively, man.
So you spent a lot of time on the East Coast, bro. Like anybody who spends a good chunk of time outside of California, I always like to ask them, like, how do you compare California and just the West Coast versus like what you saw like on the East Coast and the DMV area? Because I know it's a whole different like. Because I used to live in Newark, New Jersey. That's
Oh,
where, like,
you know
I
what it
grew
is.
up. I
Yeah.
moved here to Monterey when I was 10 years old. Like I'm
Gotcha.
27 now, so I would consider this home.
Right.
But like I still like have enough like memory to remember what like Harlem and Newark were like.
Right.
Versus when I came to the West Coast, all the way west, and it's just like completely different. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's good and bad on both sides.
Yeah.
It's just differences. Like we were talking about that earlier today. It's just hard differences. It's like, and it's condition based. Like on the East Coast, the ethos is different. Everybody tries to squad with their family, keep everybody safe. That's where the mentality is coming from. So like, if you're an outsider, I don't trust you because I don't know you, and I want to make sure my family's safe. So I'm not accepting to you until you kind of earn your way in and work that way. And then when I see you're a credible person, I know that I can bring you around my family. Then you get everything.
Yeah.
Once you gain the trust, I give you everything, and that's why we take distrust so badly, because we already gave you everything because you built that, and now you ruined it. I feel like out here overall, everybody wants to hang out and everybody has good vibes, because I feel like just to get out here creatively, even the migration from east to west, there was the adventurers, it was the people that were risk takers, it was the people that had a higher calling. They didn't necessarily know what it was, but they decided to check out what this gold rush could get from them and how they can matriculate from that. So like, that's what you're descendants of. You're descendants of, travelers, explorers, people that want something better.
California, essentially, like even if like the people that have been here for like a couple generations, it's still kind of like a transplant area. Like people moved here from like somewhere else and started setting up roots. So like that goes back to like what people say about like, people on the West Coast are chiller versus on the East Coast they're a little more, hard nosed, so to speak. Subway motherfuckers. So it's like that's kind of where that comes from. I think that's a good root cause analysis.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because like everybody's like, I talk to even down south, they treat people from up north the same way. They're like, oh, everybody's rude. I'm like, think about it like this. Let's reframe this, right? If you're living in a 24-hour city, say that you clean office buildings, pretty common, pretty easy job.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna be there when they're not working, so that's off hours. So that means that between the hours of say 3 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the morning, you're at work. So you have to get there you leave your house at 1:30, get there by 2, deal with all this stuff. So at any given time, someone could be on their way to work, on their way to something that's being busy, and you're slowing them down from that.
Yeah.
Because you're a tourist or you're just somebody that dude, I got somewhere to be. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you catch a New Yorker on the off-peak when they're not rushing, they're not caught in the hustle bustle, you probably get one of the most well-rounded, eclectic conversations with no obligation of another conversation. It's just like, peace.
It's always context, bro. Like
It's context.
Yeah.
It really is, man. So like, it gets a bum rap, but like for sure I get where the rap comes from as far as that goes. But it's an interesting mix. But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. And then like out here, you guys want to connect with people because that's your main motivation. I think on the East Coast, people want to connect with people that are going to be, in a bad way, a way to progress their career, or in a good way, people that they see likenesses in and they rally around. So I think the cause and effect is a little bit different.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, kind of going back, you said you did different military branches. Like, were you in the branches, or did you just go to like the schools for it?
I was going through, yeah, that's a good clarification point. I had never admit, I have a DD-214, but I went to a military school, so I never achieved a rank technically.
Gotcha.
So I was just doing the schooling part, and then after graduation, then I would have been able to go to that branch,
Gotcha,
lead,
gotcha.
be an ensign in the
How many
Coast
years
Guard.
did you do the schooling for?
I graduated from the prep school in order to get into the academy, and then I didn't make it through the academy.
Gotcha.
So like the attrition rate is dumb high at all the academies,
Yeah.
but that one in particular, the Coast Guard Academy, is the only academy that you can't use a congressional recommendation to get in. You have to get in on your own merit.
Gotcha.
So like other service academies, you have to get a recommendation from like a service member, a congressman, a senator. Like that doesn't matter at the Coast Guard. At least at the time I was going. I'm not exactly sure how it works down.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a unique thing. But it was a good experience. Good and bads, and just the level of dedication to everything. Academies are hard because you have to do academic, scholastic, military, and keep your sanity on a limited time period. So it's some people make it, some people don't.
Were you in a co-ed academy or?
Yeah, it's a co-ed academy. It's men and women. Yeah, the numbers obviously skew depending on the academy. Like the Merchant Marine Academy is a smaller academy. Coast Guard Academy is a smaller academy. Everybody thinks the Naval Academy, West Point
Gotcha.
Army.
Okay.
So that's the bigger ones.
I feel it.
Yeah.
So then with all that, like, I know like you got a passion, like your passion as far as like when it comes to like the sports, it's combat sports. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What like around what time did you first end up getting into that? And then also when did you know like, damn, I'm actually good at this?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the level of what you're trying to do. I think that like when I was coming up, to answer the first part of it, I was always, growing up in the 80s, it's Kung Fu theater, it's Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
It's like, you wake up Saturday morning, you're inundated with it. And, it's interesting because, I think there's only a couple types of dudes. You could be a wrestler, you could be a ninja, or you can be like a pirate.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be a ninja, So like you kind of gravitate toward that stuff. So I always wanted to take judo, but like my folks didn't have the money for it. We didn't have the time. They weren't interested in that.
Yeah.
So when I became adult and started making my own money, I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in like, I think that was 03, 04. And then I matriculated with that for a couple of years. And I got to the point where all the people I was training with were fighting. So I was doing pretty okay with that. So my friend actually classically knocked out, shout out Brandon Stewart. He doesn't fight anymore, but like for sure the reason why I started fighting, I saw him knock this dude out after I sparred with him, and he used the same thing on me and I countered it. But he
Damn,
knocked
okay.
somebody out with it. And I was like, well, if I can survive with this dude that's knocking people out with the same stuff,
Yeah.
like maybe I try it, And like my path wasn't really for like fame. Interestingly enough, I just wanted the stereotypes. Like I was like, oh, it'd be cool to come to ringside and someone announce my name and I come to ringside like it's W. You know what I'm saying? Like you get that kid
Gotcha,
factor,
gotcha. Yeah.
So like I was like, that's cool. And then that happened. And then I was like, all right, cool. It'd be cool if there was a smoke machine and you came out from behind the smoke, and you know what I'm saying? That'd be a rad moment. Like I've always like shot for the moments, like the snapshots. Like I feel like in life, like we miss out on so much stuff, but like, and we set goals that may or may not vibrate with us at the time. But if you can hit these moments, then you can, package them up and keep them forever,
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of shooting for with that. So I got the smoke machine, got my name announced, got a little article.
That's so lit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you start building steam a little bit. And then, at the time, we were a very small fight team. So but everybody was holding weight. Like there were smaller dudes on my team. It's only like 3 or 4 of us, but like we started doing well in our area. So, I always looked at it like a sport. I didn't really look at it like a fight.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm fighting in the sport, but like I'm not trying. Like, you didn't do nothing to my mother. I don't have any ill will towards you. It's just the end result of doing well at this thing.
Yeah, it's like so. Around what year was this when you actually?
I started fighting. I started training in 04. I fought 06 to 09, and then I did some boxing in there, but mostly MMA. I had about like 6 or 7 boxing matches.
It's funny that you mentioned that like you looked at it as a sport, not a fight. I feel like because around that time frame was before kind of like the UFC got popular, right?
It was like kind of like we were running like very similar to it. So
Yeah.
like, I think like around that time was the big Anderson Silva run. If you know anything about MMA,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that was like I think the nostalgic like Ultimate Fighter was popping at that time, so people were getting into it there. They saw guys like Anderson Silva, Rich Franklin, Matt Hughes. It was like kind of like hip hop. It like turned the corner from the Curtis Blows and the Cool Hercs,
Yeah,
and it
the
started
early
going
days.
to like the
Yeah.
early days, the Jam Master Jays. It started evolving a little bit.
But I say that to say because
Yeah.
like I think around that time frame, I don't think like the UFC was as popular as it is like today.
Oh, not even
And I
close.
think a lot of the reason why people like more people are seeing it the same way you are as like just a sport and not like an actual like physical fight. There was more of a stigma around the whole like concept of it being a league and like people sitting down and watching like fights on TV. There was a
Yeah.
stigma around that at the time. Whereas now the UFC got more popular and they're like training people's brains
Right,
to
it's
kind of just sit
programmed.
down and like treat it like the NBA, NFL, like any
Yeah.
other sport, which it's what it is. It's a combat sport because if you really break it down, bro, like human beings, like biologically and like evolutionary speakingly,
Mm-hmm.
like we are like competitive people, right?
Yeah.
And all these sports that we're playing now, it's all based on the old school mentality of competition.
Mm-hmm.
But the combat sport of fighting was like the very first
Oh,
iteration
yeah.
of that.
The
For
gladiators,
sure.
You know what I mean? It's literally modern day
sure.
gladiator fighting.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's dope to me.
No, it's and you know I think that like, especially during that time frame, like you said, it was definitely earlier days where it's more closed off and less forward thinking about what was happening in the actual competition aspect of things.
Yeah.
And not the gore, but like at the same time, like I was happy that it was closing the gate on things like the underground fighting. Like I've been approached to underground fight at that time, you know, and a lot of my friends were at that time, but like, you know, we heard stories of, you know, underground fights in California, even from the East Coast,
Yeah.
you know, and where to go and things like that. But like, I'm glad that everybody treated it like more like professionally, and they wanted to ascend in a better way, more organized way, instead of falling into that kind of backwoods, that lesser
Yeah.
harmful thing. Because I don't think everybody really remembers that these are real people. These are real, you know, these are brothers, sisters, parents, mothers that are in this ring that people are screaming for their heads and screaming for blood. But these are real people outside this cage or ring, you know,
Facts.
and people forget about that side of it, you know?
I feel it.
Yeah.
How big you think the learning curve was for you, as far as like from when you first started to when you really got like the hang of it?
Oh man, I think it's the gift and the curse, man. It's like I think it's very steep. Like I mean, from the moment I stepped in the mats in like '04, and I remember I just was getting bodied, and I think that was always that's always the. I mean, I think anyone that doesn't say they start something new, especially if it's a physical task, and
Yeah.
they never talk about how they were handled,
Struggled, yeah.
are just either liars or narcissists.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like. How can you not? You don't start out the womb knowing how to fight and do techniques. Like you're gonna suck.
That's not just for fighting. Anything that you try that's brand new and a
Yeah.
brand new experience out of your comfort zone, you're gonna take an ass beating, whether it's a literal ass beating
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just life is gonna beat your ass through
Yeah,
it.
man. So I mean, like, I thought that was the most intriguing part of it. It's just like why I started playing rugby when I was in the academy. It's like one of my least favorite people that was in charge of us was on the rugby team. So I had a chance to hit him, and I would get away with it.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I started playing rugby, and then it
That's
just
not funny.
maturated. You know, I was very intrigued with the fact that I can do this thing, and my coach was smaller than me. He was like $150, and at that time, I had been coming down, so I was at least like 225, 230. And this dude's like, you know, and I'm talking about just like handling me, like just like stunning, like woo. And it was no big deal. And it was like, and then then he was our coach, and then we spend more time, and then you see who his friends are, and they're animals too, and you see him get body, and you're like, wait a minute,
There's levels to this.
there's levels to this.
It all starts here, the mentality.
You know what I'm saying? So then, you know, you just keep getting into it. But I mean, like now, you know, I'm not a black belt. I'm a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have boxed for a little bit of time to be proficient.
Translation: don't play with me.
I don't want no problems. I don't want no problems. I really don't. But you know, I feel like I'm closer to that side of what I saw in the beginning.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of cool. Like the same guy that mentored me, that was my first coach. He was ringside, my cornerman for my very first fight.
Yeah.
Was still one of my good friends. Like every time I go home, I see him. We you know trade ideas because he's an idea guy. He's a smart dude, and we commiserate with each other, catch up. But like, I think that's the dopest thing about all this stuff. It's like a forged brotherhood through technically either violence or physicality that just doesn't go away. And I think that was the cool thing about the journey through everything and how applicable it is to other parts of your life.
That's what's up, man. Because a lot of what you're saying right now reminds me of a conversation that you and I had, like, off air about golf. Good segue. So how much of that do you think? We talked about golf being like a sport that a lot of people get into, like, as they get older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't pick it up till I was 25. That's not old, but to me, that's like, it is kind of like older to pick up a brand new sport.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So how do you feel like that? The same lessons you learned, like when you first started, you know, like professional fighting, and as you've gotten better at it, how do you feel like that compares to your experience with golf?
I think that, like, and I appreciate, I only had one pro fight, just full disclosure. And I'm retired, but, like, I feel like my biggest lessons in life come from fighting. Like, everything that I've learned, how to deal with people, conflict resolution, you know, sometimes things don't go your way no matter how prepared you are for something. You know, all these old, the blackisms, you know, like, ain't no shortcuts in life, you know, all this stuff. It's so true, and it's like, it's really in the source material. What you put into something is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
And when you deal with a physicality and you could physically lose or physically be beaten and those lessons play out, I think they're forged differently.
Yeah.
So when I look to try to transpose lessons, so like with golf, my lesson for golf is like trust the technique, you know, take the good advice and just practice and then stay within your confines. You don't have to go far out from what you are to be successful. You just have to do the stuff, put the work in the right way.
It's all about repetition.
It's all about a game. Life is about reps.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah, I enjoy it, man. I didn't pick it up. You know, you talking 25. I didn't pick up golf till I was 39, and I got a good friend, a good mentor. I'll stop doing that. Sorry, Ronnie. He's like,
driving him nuts. It's like teeth on a fucking chalk.
that's your fault. You gave me the wrong chair.
Man, I thought I
Didn't know better for
was
next time.
screwed
But and he just kept it simple, and we had fun, and I didn't take myself seriously. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, if just know where you're at, know your levels, and
Exactly.
and be okay with the level that you're at.
And it really, my bad. It really helps having a mentor or somebody that really walks you through it.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Spence, man. He was.
Hey,
I mean, two things. One, as far as like the mentor aspect, like not even just in sports, just in anything. Like I've noticed a lot of like successful people really do have somebody that has guided them or shadowed them or helped them out through. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I was watching. Shout out to Mike Lee. He always be over there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I ended watching his. He did a podcast where him and his mentor were actually talking about, you know what I mean, how they met and how it got him involved in just being an entrepreneur and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking back at it, because I knew Mike from from San Jose State days. We ended up taking we were in the same like dance class together.
Oh, right.
And seeing his growth. And then after watching that podcast and then putting a, kind of like a timeline on it, I'm like, damn, that makes sense. I do see how that elevated you to a whole different level faster than had you not had a mentor or whatnot.
Yeah.
Even like, bro, like in the workplace, like me, it's like you talk about entrepreneurship, and that's huge. Like, but even like if you narrow it down to just like a regular 9 to 5, bro.
Yeah.
Like I work for a company where it's like I started out like lower level, and I thank God like I had a mentor in front of me that was willing to take me under his wing and like help me develop as like a competent professional, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I really don't know if I would have continued like working or like, you know, going where I'm going without like his like guidance and support. Like he was always shadowing me, bro, and that's huge. It's huge in every field in life. You talk about golf, you talk about entrepreneurship, you talk about anything, bro. Yeah. If you can just seek mentorship, it like nobody's ever too big to ask for help.
I think everything is networking and nepotism. Yeah. So I mean, from the mentor side, you have someone that's gonna after all that, they have someone that's gonna put you in the like, hey man, take a look at this kid, man. He's doing good work. I've been kind of seeing him. He's been doing everything the right way. Yeah. You know, and it's the natural greasing of the wheels. It's just human nature, man. It helps so much.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Hey, and then also going back to we were talking about golfing. Isn't golfing like one of those sports though? I feel like a lot of people don't pick it up till later in life. Like nowadays, there's a lot of people that have their kids start young or kids who start young, but for the most part, like I've never really seen too many young golfers until like recent memory.
I think it's the evolution. I think it's I'm just getting into it too, but it's funny. I remember even back in the day, I used to watch like wake up on Sunday and watch like. Turn on TV, the only thing I was on was golf or bowling back in the day. So I always chose golf. And I just watched it. It'd be background material, but it'd be interesting, you know? Yeah. But I think that like as you go on, I think there's a proliferation of golf being a skill that's attainable, usable in business, usable in interpersonal relations, and it's a nice off-screen way of doing business or talking without getting things done without admitting things on the air. Basically,
Facts.
It's like I mean, I've been on the golf course with a lot of people and different syntaxes, and a lot of things were talked about, and a lot of things got resolved, and we were able to move forward. And I think that there's less of a stigma behind golf now. Like, I can say in a black community that I golf, and 4 out of the 8 people golf too, and no one's gonna talk shit.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, this normal." Like,
it's a normal thing, and there's no
Yeah.
stigma around it anymore.
Right.
Whereas, like when I was like a teenager, I'm like, golf's a pussy sport. You can't play. I don't want to hear you say a sport that you play in your slacks is a sport. Boy, was I wrong, bro. Because it takes a mature, developed mind to kind of
Yeah.
like pick it up and look at it. All the things you were saying, how it could be like a networking tool, a tool to expand like your social network per se. Like you don't really realize those benefits until you really get older and start to like slow down in life a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of goes back to your point where there's not many younger golfers, but I think you could still drill like the values of the game like in younger people because it really does mirror life. That's like a cliche, but it mirrors life. And it taught me like I was like really immature before I started golfing, bro. Like emotionally, mentally, and it was huge for me. The combination of golf and this, to be truly honest with you, helped me develop. But it's like goes back to like stepping out of your comfort zone and shit like that.
That's super fair. Yeah.
Damn, I feel that. You was out there in Pebble Beach today, right?
No, I was supposed to go. I was supposed to go tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, just before coming back and
Staying with the circumstances, it's just not the play right now. So
Nah.
I mean, I'll catch the next one. But I mean, like even that, like I'm not a good golfer. Like I'm okay. I'm better than some of these old guys that have all the equipment and pay $1,000 for their golf clubs. So
I'm trash.
yeah, But the cool thing is, I always love about golf is you're on that. Dude, you're on the most gorgeous golf course in the most nice areas, and I can actually step on those situations, both guide myself to a financial place that I can do it, and then two, I'm allowed to because some people weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
Both status wise and race wise. So like it's almost like a celebration all the way around every time I get to go to a super nice course.
Yeah,
for
man.
me, honestly.
It's a very peaceful experience too.
Yeah.
One thing I learned about golf too, bro, it's not as expensive as you think. Like once you get your
It's not.
equipment,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
to just like go into a course or even just going and just hitting a couple, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not that expensive at all.
And to be honest with you, the first set of clubs I got straight up offer up. I went right there. I got this dope bag and all the clubs I needed for like $50.
Yeah.
So if you want something, just like anything else, if you want something bad enough, you can find means to do it. It's just I can't get the super nice stuff. Of course you can. You're just starting.
Yeah.
And you just maybe step into that track.
Facts, man. But just to close out the golf conversation.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
Like honestly, bro.
Right.
I would give all the credit, like you said, how there like there's no stigma around like people like me, like us playing golf anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can show up to the course and I can just key it with the old 50-year-old white dude, and he'd be like, "Yeah, go out there and hit them good." And it's like it's a sport that brings people together, and I would give a lot of that credit to fucking Schoolboy Q, honestly, because before he started golfing, but like he honestly like helped make golf cool, and I think a lot of people got into it because of him.
I'll be honest with you, bro. I didn't even know he golfs like that.
Yeah, I mean like, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, because I just look at the landscape around, the sport.
Like he's bringing merging hip hop and golf together.
Like people
That's
like me,
huge.
like that were laughing at golf. You know what I mean? Because I can remember
laughing at golf.
laughing at
Yeah,
golf
I
now
mean-
versus like it's,
That's something you do. And it's an attainable skill at this point.
it is.
To have that in your back pocket. I mean, any skill that you can stack, then in a moment's notice you can flex in the most respectful way. But like just knowledge is the flex.
Exactly.
Like just being able to not be uncomfortable and handle that situation.
Facts.
That's the one, man.
See, it's crazy when I see like dragging out this golf combo again. But nah, like it's wild to see a lot of these athletes now, especially like basketball players, going into golf and then dominating it after like once they get the technique, and it kind of gets to show you like, bro, if you are physically fit, it actually does help in golf.
Basketball players already got like elite core strength, so that's definitely gonna help in golf.
You know what I mean?
Facts. Big facts.
But it's the same way me and Alex were talking about it off air about how Cause I you know what I mean, I was asking, I was like, yo, cause he played baseball for a long time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just assumed that baseball, like if you were a baseball player, it'd be easy.
Right.
But then it's the whole concept of like the swinging a bat versus
Way
swinging
different.
a golf club, and you spent all those years swinging a baseball bat. So
Yeah.
it might actually be harder for you than versus somebody who doesn't have that type of muscle memory. You know?
Yeah,
That's
it's
facts.
a blank palette.
Yeah.
You know?
Fill it up. Speaking of palate, food, palate, stuff like that.
Interesting. That's the best. Look at that. These pro level segues,
Pro level
bro.
segues out here.
Wow, I'm just taking notes.
Man, so you guys have something big coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ronnie's talking about that we have an event. What I do is with I have two partners, Evan and Alex. Shout out, great, fantastic cooks, chefs, people, the whole 9 yards, all the way around. We've all been industry professionals for quite some time. I've been in the industry for almost 20 years now, between security, front of house, back of house, everything in the service industry. So we decided to use all our combined energy and thought and passions, combine that with our passion for cannabis, and do high-end medicated dinners. So with their help, we do pop-up style. So we change venues from time to time. So that way, if they're not 420 friendly, we can still operate without there being an issue. And then we have some varieties. We change spots, we change the menu. But we run a no substitution menu for the night. That's all medicated. We sit down, we commiserate with everybody. We have people that are growers. We have people that are that own farms, dab companies, different things like that, mixed in with regular people that barely smoke. And it's explained to them. There's an education piece within it. There's a community within it because everyone enjoys cannabis as a collective, or you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And it's a nice chance to. I find that this day and age, we're so ingrained in just sitting here and just checking everything that's going on, making sure everything's fine. Like no one really sits back and talks to people.
Yeah.
There's the intercommunicational skills that we need to be relatable to as people. It's starting to lack a little bit.
Yep.
And maybe this is an interesting way to get around back to that. But I find that if we have a chance to put our phones down, talk to somebody that's in your environment that kind of cares about and likes what you like, maybe that leads to the next conversation, what else is common with everybody else, and that proliferates through your life.
Yep.
You take it home with you, and then we just have a good time. It's just a good vibe evening, man.
Yeah, man.
And
I'm pulling up for show.
pull up. We love it, man. It's like being at your cool uncle's house, and his wife just happens to be a chef.
Yeah.
And you still chilling, dressed down, come as you are. I like dressing up. That's just my vibe.
Yeah.
Everybody comes in sweats. Somebody came in a suit, and we're all having a good time. And we're all from all walks of life, figuring out a way to have a good time and enjoy the moment of where we're at. That's
And
really what's
as
about.
human beings, you said it, man. We're social creatures. We need that social interaction.
If nothing was learned from COVID, Jesus Christ, and these quarantines and the duration of quarantines, people need commiseration. People need bars. People need the common touch. People need their vices. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, man.
so if you can roll that in together, and we need each other, man. And I think everybody's done so much soul searching in the last couple of years. People have done a lot of changing. Let's share these concepts. Let's share these ideas. Maybe the one little thing that was bothering you could unlock something in somebody else to help them out with what they're struggling with.
That's facts, bro.
So I mean, it's a good opportunity for a nice, chill group of people to interact and have a good time together.
If you like positive vibes, come on through.
Positive vibes, a little bit of cannabis,
Hell yeah.
and
Never hurt nobody.
Fantastic food. I mean, like,
Amazing food.
I mean and I'm not just talking it. I'm about that action. I associate and align with really good people, but I mean, we're talking about just things like 3-day age for kasha bread. Things like we're talking.
Y'all niggas know about that.
Hickory
Kasha bread.
Mike for kasha.
Like
Put
kasha bread.
up your vocabulary, son.
3-day age.
You know what I'm saying? We got hickory smoked Australian Wagyu. We got this is
Wagyu, bro. Holy
Wagyu,
fuck.
Swagyu. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go. I need that.
We really have a way of elevating the conversation, and everyone deserves good food, good conversation.
Hell yeah.
If you can do that with a little bit of weed mixed in, I think that's a win-win-win.
There's no way you can have a bad time.
There's no way, bro.
Oh,
We only caught one body last time. We've adjusted everything. No, I'm just joking. No. It was a really good time. Everything is adjusted. We're getting better at what we do, and we look forward to future events, man. It's gonna be
hey,
good.
I mean,
Good
I'll
shit,
say, speaking for somebody that was that was in attendance from the last dinner, like, man, the food quality is perfect. Like, the amount of, like, you know what I mean, the amount of dosages in each meal. Because most people would be like, damn, am I just about to be sitting there stuck?
Right.
Like, shit, you might if you don't smoke or you don't know yourself when it comes to edibles.
Yeah.
But even then again, it's just like, you don't need to just kill everything, and you know what I mean?
And the best part about it is that throughout the dinner, we're serving CBD refrescas too.
That part, okay.
So we have
Which was
another
fire, by the way.
which is another. It's like another flex.
Yeah.
So like you get another medium that's good, that's a high quality thing, but it also helps counteract the effects. So you get to go home in a playful way where you're elevated mentally, you're stimulated conversationally, and you still wake up the next day. You're like, wow, that was kind of like I got great sleep. I got great sleep last time I went to it.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you did
Yep,
too.
yep.
But I mean, it's like you kind of like wake up and you kind of like refresh. You're like, wow, I kind of believe in humanity again almost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a good
Love,
it's
man.
a good
That's love.
vibe, man. Yeah, and we're just trying to capture that, bottle it up, and spread it to as many people as we can.
Hell
I
yeah,
think
bro.
the best part too was the fact that the main course didn't have anything in it. Like, you know what I mean? You allow people to just, all right, here we gave you a bunch of like medicated dishes for the first couple,
Yeah.
and then here's the main dish. Just enjoy this.
Yeah.
Enjoy this plate.
And like you said, like there's a whole educational aspect to it, right? So
Right.
the people will like learn what dosages like come with each type of food and like how much they can take in based on, you know, everybody knows themselves at the end of the day. All, you know, anybody else could do is give you the information and you do it what you will.
Right, but I mean, like even better than the information, you also have the added bonus of of sampling or tasting or being at the thing. So now it's like respectfully different medium, of course, but it's like getting a dose of like acid therapy from a therapist, but like it's medical grade acid.
Yeah.
We know we're doing all our stuff is tested, everything like that. So when we dose, this is what it should be like when you're dosing instead of dosing recklessly
Yeah.
and having a bad experience.
Yeah.
This is what it could be if you did it the right way, and this is how you do it. You learn by example almost.
Exactly.
So I know it's gonna be a great night. It's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of education piece. So we're looking forward to it, and it's this Tuesday, February 7th too.
And obviously
Shameless plug.
We'll
Yeah.
include details.
We'll for
in the
sure
link.
have your IG. You know.
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure,
Post it up
please.
on the
Yeah,
link and
yeah.
all that.
Don't even worry about it, though.
The content is coming, so this is gonna be our second event. I'm really excited to we have all our socials in order, everything's lined up. But when you don't have all the content, it's kind of silly to launch fast.
Yeah.
We have this event, last event. We have one next month, TBD, and then we'll have a lot of content for the website. So we'll have a lot of visuals. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's what's up, dog.
Yeah.
Keep building.
Yeah, we building. We out
Keep
here
building.
building,
Hell yeah, man.
shoulder bouncing, building.
And to anybody watching,
Absolutely.
keep building in whatever you're doing.
No, no, that's
Everybody got
right.
something to build on.
Everybody working on something.
Yeah.
Everybody growing, just like we said on the last one. You know
Yep.
what I mean? But it's cool to see that, man. Hey, before we wind this thing down, whose idea was it? Like, how did y'all even come up with that?
I went to, it's kind of I'd like to say it's a collaborative thing that we talked about. I think silently, so I went to a festival in the summertime, shout out Northern Nights. Fantastic opportunity, did a lot of stuff, had fun. We'll leave it at that. And it kind of changed my perception a little bit about what was possible and what I should be doing and what makes me happy. So I was thinking about, it's a cannabis forward festival. So I got to meet a lot of people and have a lot of ideas. And I wanted to do something in the industry that was a little bit different, but I, kind of carve out my own lane.
Yeah.
And I realized that with my experience in the service industry, my connections, maybe it could be via food and edibles. So I wanted to find someone that was legitimately credible, but hasn't gotten a lot of shine because either they're coming up or anything like that. That was the thought. So I work at a good restaurant. I talked to the sous chef, and it turned out that, serendipitously, it's something that he had been working on. They have a medicated waffle company. Their company is called Fuegos, and they also have that. So they've always wanted to do more. So I thought it would be a perfect marriage if I can format it in a way that they can provide all the food they've ever wanted to medicate or make or whatever we do a no substitution format, and then we kind of just do it pop-up style so we wouldn't be stuck with the overhead. And at least that way we could do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then they were so jazzed and they were so knowledgeable. It just was like a perfect timing point. Everyone was tired of it at the same time. Everybody was interested at the same time. So I think we just jumped right on it, and everything just kind of just started walking. It's like it grew legs and just started
That's what's
walking
up,
almost
bro.
by itself. You know, so we just gotta stay dedicated to the process. So yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah.
kind of cool. You know.
Hell yeah, bro.
The marathon continues, brother.
The marathon. It's the only thing that it's the fight. It's the answering the bell every day.
Yeah.
You know, it gets
Consistency is key, bro.
yeah, man, and it keeps you engaged in life.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have any mountains to climb or you don't have anything to unlock, then what's the point?
Yeah. And it just everything starts to get old after a while. Yeah.
Shit, mountain to climb. That speaking of that.
You should always be in uncomfortable or like slightly overwhelming situations. That's how you know you're doing something right.
A little bit, yeah. You're absolutely right. It has to be a little bit element of danger.
Yep.
Yeah, a little
You know,
uncomfortable at all times.
Yeah,
You know?
but very hopeful, very happy, and we'll just keep growing, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be beautiful to see where that ends up this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a growth year, man. I think a lot of people are in a place in their life, regardless of their age or their situation, where there's something that's triggered them. Be like, I'm done with this. I want to do better. I want to progress.
I think, like you said,
It's
COVID
now.
was a driving factor in that. Like society in general, like a lot of people are on a more positive, mindset, which is good. We need that.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Absolutely.
But I'm praying for everybody to win, bro.
Dude, why not? There's enough lane for everybody, man. Like there's all these highways and all these other metaphors, but like your victories do not do anything but motivate me. You know, in any way in general. Like it shouldn't be like that.
Exactly.
Nah, that's what's up. Hey, bro, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I feel like this was a long time.
Absolutely.
Fantastic, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
We
very
we
much,
definitely need
guys.
you back, bro.
No,
You
this
got
is
the
so good.
podcast voice for sure.
Hey,
I mean, even outside of
easy.
that, we got a lot of stories to even dive into and talk
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
other stuff. But nah, for sure, really appreciate you coming here.
No, thanks for
Absolutely.
having me. This is fantastic, man. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Of course, man. Of course. You family now, bro.
Hey,
Part of the 2 Point
goated.
fam.
I'm stuck. I'm the dude on the couch now.
Hey. Well, man, so another one in the books.
Another
My
one.
dude.
Yep.
We're gonna have all of Don's info as far as the dinner, his socials, all that. It's gonna be in the link, all that. But until next time, it's your boy Ronnie.
And I'm Waleed, the other side of the coin, and we are signing out this motherfucker.